Hi, my name is Daniel Jackman, and I want to show you how you can calibrate a potentiometer on a Logix 500 Plus positioner. This is actually applicable to the 420 positioner as well because it has the same potentiometer. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. I've got my 500 Plus positioner semi-disassembled, but I've got all my wiring still connected. I've got 4 milliamps going to my positioner. You can see that it's all lit up, ready to go. This is my digital multimeter. It's reading DC voltage right now across my two leads right here. These are pretty sharp leads that I use to just touch on the face of the connector here. If you don't have these sharp of leads, you can go ahead and use maybe a small wire or something that you can poke down in there to get the connection. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the range of my potentiometer. So I'm going to go ahead and put my black lead on my yellow wire and my red lead on my green wire. That'll give me the full range. Let's get a good connection here. My full range on this is 2.047 volts. You can see on my multimeter right over here. Okay, so that's the full range. That's the maximum voltage this potentiometer can give back to the main board. So I'm going to take an alternate reading across the yellow and the red. Okay, so right now my potentiometer is reading 1.326 volts. That indicates to the main board what fraction of the full voltage it's getting back, if that makes sense. So as I actuate my positioner, and this positioner is calibrated and working, so I'm just going to use this to show my demonstration. So I'm going to give it 20 milliamps. You can see my voltage goes up. So when the positioner is at its fully closed, the voltage is at 1.326. When the positioner is fully open, we even overdrive that up a little bit higher, the positioner goes to 2.014. Now, as you can remember, our range was 2.04, so that's actually a little bit close. The positioner still is operating, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to adjust it just so you can kind of see how that works. So I'm going to put it back to 4 milliamps real quick. You can see where its lower voltage is. Okay, I'm disconnecting my leads there. To adjust the potentiometer, you have to separate these two gears. Now, by default, they've got this little clip in here that's rotated into place. I don't know if you can see it. This looks like a little wire that's poking into the top of the housing. It wraps around the potentiometer. So if you take a screwdriver, a little teeny screwdriver, and just push it clockwise around the potentiometer just slightly, it pokes into kind of this corner of the housing that makes it so that you can lift the potentiometer gear up and away. You see that? So, and I have my potentiometer arm there. I can lift the gear up. That makes it so that I can rotate this potentiometer freely. So, as you remember, this positioner, the lower position was 0.132 and the upper position was 2.01. So I want to make it so that my upper position is further away from that maximum range. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust my lower range down a bit. So I'm going to connect my wires here again so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so again, it's 1.32. So I'm going to lift my potentiometer gear up, and I'm going to rotate it. So as I rotate this clockwise, or excuse me, counterclockwise, as I rotate this counterclockwise, the voltage is going down. So that's moving the entire range, the upper range and the upper limit and the lower limit, down as to how the positioner is going to stroke. So I'm going to set it just around 1 volt. Just, again, for the purposes of this demonstration. So whenever you make an adjustment to the potentiometer, you want to recalibrate. So I'm going to go ahead and run my calibration, trying to make sure that I have my connection here so you can see how the voltage changes as it runs through the calibration. So you can see it swings up to 1.68 is the high now, and the low is about 1.0. And that just goes through its tuning algorithm in the center at 1.33. Okay, so now I've reset the range of the potentiometer that the positioner is going to rotate in. And I'll show you. I'm going to put it back up to 20 milliamps again. Oops, I lost my connection. Okay, so put it up to 20 milliamps. You can see my top range is 1.68. Put it down to 4. My lower range is about 1.0 flat. So that's just how you can adjust the potentiometer to stay away from the maximum of the voltage the potentiometer can send out. If the potentiometer ever rotates over the top, so if it approaches the range and then goes over the top, it'll start back over at 0 again, and that confuses the the main board of the positioner. It's not able to calculate position accurately that way. So you always want to make sure that when as the positioner is operating in its range, that the voltage on the potentiometer stays between 0 and 2.04. It never wants to get close to either of those. So I hope that makes sense. Basically, from this point, you would rotate this clip back into place to secure your two gears back together. Make sure that they don't come apart during operation or with any vibration of the positioner. And then you can put the whole thing back together.